In this tutorial I want to show you how we can use GIS to create what I like to call a dummy variable or a categorical variable. There might be occasions where you want to identify some of your cases and distinguish them from all the other cases. For example, you might want to have census tracts in the Denver urban area here identified within your data set so that when you get into Stata or SPSS that you can actually distinguish which cases are which. As you'll notice if I open up the attribute table for tracks here, there is no easy indication here of which of these tracks are actually in the Denver urban area. So let me just go ahead and show you how we can do that. The first thing would be to do is to select the cases that you want to be able to identify. Now, I'm going to do this with the urban area and select features using the selection menu, but you could also just use your selection menu. Let's say you wanted to identify these particular tracks out here. I'm just holding down the shift key while I click them. And you want to designate these as having a value of 1 and leave all these others as 0. So that later on when you're in Stata you can look at the descriptive statistics of these particular tracks compared to all these others. So you can go ahead and select your own. I'm going to just very quickly select census tracts that have their center in the Denver urban area. Okay, so I've highlighted some. Now I'm going to open up the attribute table here of the census tracts, and if I scroll down, there you can see some of the ones that are highlighted. These are all in the Denver urban area. Now what we want to do is I'm going to create a new column here, a new variable that I'll just call Den Select. So I'm going to go up here and add a field. I'm going to call it Den Select. You can call it whatever. You could probably leave it as a short integer because we're just going to name these things 1 or so on, but it's always safe to just go with double. And if I scroll over, you can see that it's just given all census tracts in the state of Colorado a 0. Now what I'm going to do is put my cursor over here above Den Select and just do a normal left click, and that highlights that column. And then I'm going to right click, put my cursor there, and right click and do a field calculator. And what that field calculator, it's going to say Den Select equals what? And all I want to do is turn all of the ones that are in Denver to a 1 rather than a 0 as they currently are. So I'll just have 1. So Den Select equals 1. Now, even though the whole column is highlighted, again, only the rows that are highlighted will actually turn to 1. So I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. And you can see these remain 0, but these turn to 1. Okay. So I can go ahead and close that. And that's how you go ahead and use GIS to create, in this case it would be a dummy variable. Now if I wanted to go ahead and let me clear my selected features, and let's say I wanted to designate northeastern Colorado census tracts as a 2 in this case, I would just highlight them, open up the attribute table. Again, those rows are highlighted in here somewhere. There they are. Again, I'll just highlight that column, then I'll right click on it, go to field calculator, and instead of 1, I'll want to distinguish them, so I'm going to make those a 2 and hit OK. Again, the value doesn't really mean anything, it's just a way of distinguishing them from the 0s and the 1s. And when you're in Stata you can play around with that kind of stuff. Okay, so that's a pretty simple way of doing that particular task.